Welcome to the special guest interview segment of what is this, season 10, episode 2, just rolling along again. I'm Bill Culhane, your host. Our audio only listeners heard the expanded bio of our upcoming special guest. On the audio only version of the episode, we went through some details, but our special guest, I can remind you, is Stephen Hetzel, who is the co-founder and CEO for Beacon Bid and BidPrime. And as mentioned by me, Beacon Bid and BidPrime, two widely recognized leading software as a service companies within the world of government purchasing. Stephen, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Bill. It's good to be back.
Well, we appreciate you holding on for just a moment, Stephen. Have a few administrative type housekeeping items to go through. First of all, and I joked about it over on the audio version of the show, but it's great to have you as a guest. It's a tremendous lead in to the fact that the Big Bid Theory is in fact powered by guess who? BidPrime and Beacon Bid, and a couple of other things. Want to give a shout out to Denise Finn, the president of FAPO. Their conference is actually going to be starting, not sure when folks are watching and listening to us, but it's going to be starting here towards the end of this week in Orlando, Florida. We're excited. We will be there on the ground there at Coronado Springs Resort there at Disney in Orlando. And I've been receiving, and Rick has been receiving a number of emails. We even got a phone call last week. Hey, the Dave and Beverly Nash Leadership Award, when will there be some more information put out? Well, we are in the process of finalizing the web page, the landing page that will have all of the criteria, all the details about that award. So again, Stephen, welcome. Thanks for bearing with us there for a moment.
No problem. It's the duties as a sponsor for you to do a plug and for me to be on the show once a season, I think, right?
Right, exactly. Checking that box as it were. So let's get busy. We have a lot of ground to cover. First of all, how did Josh Schwartzbeck and your backgrounds in government, in technology, how did that background kind of inspire the creation of not only BidPrime, but also Beacon Bid? And to carry it a little further, what gap in the market did you aim to address with the launch of BidPrime back in 2009, and then when Beacon Bid was put out there a couple of years ago?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Where experiences with the government sector, I guess I'd say it revealed inefficiencies in the procurement process on all sides, on the BidPrime side and on the Beacon side. BidPrime had the unique challenge of collecting fragmented data within the state, local, or SLED sector, as we call it specifically. And that is known to be just very disaggregated, very disparate. It's all over the place. It's in no unique format. It's not like the way the federal government does things. So a few years in, where we really honed in on the BidPrime product itself, I'd say with regard to the Beacon launch, we heard of many issues, let's just call it, of tribulations that vendors had or our customers had who, were trying to access public sector data, specifically really like the small, medium-sized enterprises or people that are really trying to explore government contracting itself and hitting hurdles and accessing the data. So that's where I'd say that maybe the customer frustrations with trying to do business with the public sector is where we really found an opening in procurement market. That's how we built Beacon. It's a well-known fact that e-procurement solutions are typically, not in Beacon's case, but typically walled gardens. And I guess they're originally designed to make money from the public sector. But a lot of times these companies, they're investor driven. They need to get more profits, that kind of side, and they get greedy and they try to find more ways to make money from suppliers too. So we really found an opening there with having just a really good product and a market that was appetized by our product, I'd say.
We have a lot of folks in our audience, of course, who come from government agencies, either currently working in an agency or retired, whatever the case may be. It's a real mixed bag audience. We're proud of that. Not just agency people, but folks from throughout a number of various industries as well. So let's start, though, with the government agency side of things. What are some of the key challenges that government agencies face when it comes to procurement? And how does Beacon Bid address those issues, those challenges?
I mean, I hear this all the time with all sizes of agencies, but especially small ones. There are a lot of people that wear a lot of hats. They're struggling with limited resources, outdated procurement methods, whether it's paper bidding or posting things on classifieds, or that's the way that they communicate with their local suppliers. Maybe they just don't have the website or the way to publish or facilitate collecting those bids or sending them out or collecting the responses. There's a lot of those headaches on the agency side for just finding enough suppliers, finding enough bidders to actually bid on the process, where a lot of times they go out to a co-op or they go maybe make a deal they shouldn't. That is maybe the easier deal, but not always the most economical deal or the most local serving deal that we find. So at Beacon, our core mission is to expand access to agencies. We have a free public sector solution for small agencies who just do a couple bids a year. We have enhanced budget-friendly solutions for those that are maybe, wanting a little bit more. We've really made our mark on having our products be user-friendly, intuitive, along with our data products that kind of make it a one-stop shop for agencies where they can, we can assist them in writing the bids, but also publishing them, posting them, getting more suppliers, and collecting the bids, and this full-service solution. We also don't wall our bids off only for BidPrime customers, and that's important. Important distinction that I think really makes us stand out among the other, free or budget-friendly solutions that are out there for agencies. But we also do leverage BidPrime's vast vendor network. We have a lot of free and paid subscribers at BidPrime who can help support these agencies in getting more qualified bidders too.
A moment ago, Stephen, I heard you say wall off data. Can you expand upon that for folks listening out there? What do you mean by walling off data?
There's a lot of ways, a lot of creative ways I've seen this done. So it could start with just having a fee. A fee can be prohibitive for somebody to actually decide, do I want to look into this document, look at the specifications and evaluate, is this an opportunity? Some people call it a toll. I call it an impediment. It's if somebody's just wanting to explore the public sector out there. There's also a lot of tricks, a lot of things where maybe it's free, but it's not easy. And I don't. It's always changing. It's a shell game, and we're at BidPrime. We're constantly educating our customers on the BidPrime side on how to overcome these and helping them overcome them. We're also educating agencies too on what to look out for, so that maybe they're not, aware of, why am I not getting enough bidders? Why is nobody bidding on my projects or my RFPs? Well, we start with, how are you publishing the bids? Where are you posting them? Because that's usually where things go wrong.
You and I have each done, of course, quite a bit of traveling. We'll talk more about your schedule coming up a little bit later in your visit, but I just want to pass along my 2 cents that a lot of the things that Stephen just described, those conversations, those concerns, it doesn't matter what time zone you're standing in, what state, what county, it's really consistent. The same kind of feedback, the same kind of stories that Stephen just kind of gave an overview on, hearing it everywhere. So let's transition now. Let's go over to the vendor side. But you agency people, stay tuned, because we'll be talking more about kind of the agency purchasing world here again in a moment or so. But focusing specifically on the BidPrime, the vendor side, a lot of exciting tools being developed, implemented, deployed on the BidPrime side. Contract Intelligence Suite is something I know that's been seen in a press release. I know your team has also been putting out other collateral talking about this Contract Intelligence Suite. So if you would talk about exactly what comprises the CIS.
Yeah, and I mean, just to tell our agency friends out there too, if you work in procurement, this is something that we're actually looking at the Beacon side too. So stay tuned for that. That's probably going to be later this year. But we've been really busy, wearing a lot of hats. It keeps things really fun and interesting. I'd say about 10 years ago, Josh and I really started talking about the components of future ops and this vision of how to build this product the right way to make it the most valuable for vendors, for suppliers to use. And the idea behind it all was really behind extraction of term contracts from our expired bids and award data, and the collection of term contract resources that agencies provide out there. Typically just large size agencies or states, maybe they post their term contracts out there. That's really easy to get for the most part. As far as actually extracting term contracts out of existing bids and bid documents, that's a challenge that really only BidPrime can solve because we have pretty much all the bid documents out there. So that puts us in a unique position to extract a lot of interesting data out of this. We also kind of been looking at like upcoming opportunities, upcoming bids, upcoming projects, things that are kind of teased out there that agencies sometimes publish, months or quarters in advance. It's a lot of data. I call it a vortex of data. It's so much that you don't know what to do with it all sometimes, and it's just really unique in this market. So, say all this data is really captured by our opportunity tracer technology. It's primed to aggregate to all of our teams, all of our resources. We also have teams that are very well versed in reviewing this data, collecting it, curating the data, pulling out the value that our customers want to see. And I think it was important to us too, I'd say, to maybe not like launch just a check the box type of solution or feature that maybe people just say, oh, this is kind of neat and it has a little bit of value add. We really wanted this to be a standalone platform with a lot of impressive competitive procurement data that really only we have. So I think that's where we've really doubled down the last few years, is to collect a lot of this data centered around future opportunities, future ops. That's what we called it. Future opportunities that people could win in the next round.
So I think everybody understands. I hope everybody watching our conversation understands term contracts, award data, expiring bids. Pretty easy to understand. Not easy to get the data and put it in a digestible format, but I think everybody kind of gets that future opportunity concept. But I've heard you mentioned, and I know a little bit about the idea of learning about an opportunity before a solicitation, before a bid actually hits the streets. So talk about that part of it. What's been going on in developing a tool that will actually, look into places that we as businesses, we as agencies, we can't be in 1,000 places all at once, even though we're often asked to do that.
Yeah. So to contrast, future ops is, things that are definitely going to be coming out in the future, or it's either an upcoming opportunity that has some sort of budgeted or has already kind of undergone the requisition process and is being written or planned out, or is a contract that will be renewed again. And our new product that we just launched too is called Emerging Ops. This is another really interesting product, and we've learned a lot about this in this last year. Years ago, I heard about this approach where some really determined vendors, maybe some people were already established in the market, but they were using meeting minutes, video transcripts, city plans, things like that to really get ahead of the bid or RFP while it was in its nebulous stage. Even just maybe going after contracts where the incumbents were falling short. Maybe they were catching flack somewhere, which actually happens more than where maybe some stakeholders complaining that they're not, performing well, but what are our options? And so I guess I heard about the interesting work that OnTopical was doing from some of their customers, and heard a lot of wonderful things about them. And people actually kind of communicated, mutual customers of ours, that OnTopical was like BidPrime, but for meeting intelligence. In that we collect an immense amount of bid and contract data out there, and their mission was to collect the largest data set of agendas, meeting minutes, plans, video transcripts, everything and anything they could collect out there on that side. We worked really hard with the OnTopical team to build and integrate their data into the BidPrime platform. So it creates kind of like a one-stop shop. So all this data is all in one place. You can search BidPrime, you can get your active bids, you can go into the meeting intelligence search, you can search competitors and future ops, but you also can search their names of where they come up, even like your own name, and look your own name up in the meeting intelligence and meeting minutes. So it's kind of a really interesting proposition. I'm hearing new approaches all the time to how people are using this. Our customers really want a one-stop shop. So they get their email alerts from BidPrime. They can log into BidPrime, get all their bids, bid documents, go to our future ops, get the pricing intelligence, incumbent information, who won, how much, all that data, maybe vendor and agency contact information too. And now, I guess with this integration with OnTopical's data, Emerging Ops is a really powerful combination. Just adds a lot more color and context around this lead public sector.
So I assume, as this has been rolled out, you mentioned OnTopical. So understanding it's just in its infancy right now, have you had any interesting, I don't know, applications or any interesting discoveries with the advent of this emerging ops tool?
There's a lot of data in these meeting minutes, and I think that, they have over 200 million pages of data to comb through. What's really interesting is they use AI, and that's what we've kind of partnered with to create some AI categories with our category data to create like an AI tool that makes sense of all this data. But there's a lot of avenues it can go down. But I guess at Beacon, maybe that's a good story to tell. We use our own products, and so Beacon uses BidPrime, whether it's our future ops, to get insights, intelligence on other e-procurement companies out there, and there's a lot of them out there. Their awards, their proposals, and contracts. That kind of changes how and who we market to and who we go after. There's a lot there, but with emerging ops, I would say we've used it too, and we've identified agencies who are hearing problems or having issues from their constituents about their procurement processes, about other e-procurement providers who shall remain unnamed here. It has a lot of really interesting information. I won't go into it here because I don't want our competitors to really know all that we pick up on, but people have to see it for themselves. And I guess I'd say it really confirms a lot of our own judgments we've made about the e-procurement market, hearing so much happening elsewhere all around a lot of other SLED agencies.
Yeah, exactly. Here. So a moment ago, did I hear you use the phrase vortex of data?
Yeah.
So as you just went through, future ops and emerging ops, I'm envisioning, if I can steal your phrase, vortex of data, right? That's out there. And I think I can quickly assess, ascertain how that can be of benefit to a business out there, right? But what about these government agencies? If I'm a government agency here in Austin, Texas, how could future ops and EOps information be valuable to me when there's a meeting going on in Tallahassee, Florida, or in Salt Lake City, Utah, or anywhere else?
I mean, that's something we're exploring. We're having a lot of conversations with agencies to see what they would want out of that data and how they're using it. There's some interest for sure at all levels, not just in procurement itself, but a lot of small agencies want to see what other agencies are doing or how they're approaching a subject. We launched RFP Archive just several years ago, and we offered that to agencies who wanted to really leverage BidPrime's archive of millions of recently published bid documents, bid templates, and you name it, bids, RFPs, RFQs, RFIs. We can find basically any recent example bid or RFP template that an agency is thinking about. Anything that you want to find, we have dozens or hundreds of recent examples, at least in almost any scenario that we look up in our system. So we're launching new extensions to the archive. There's a lot of opportunity there. There's a lot of interest. For example, agencies who want to maybe see pricing data or piggyback on contracts. They can look into the data that BidPrime is extracting for our future ops. They can research vendors too. They can vet vendor performance, market to vendors, find out about projects that they can piggyback on, as I just mentioned. So there's a lot of potential applications for how meeting minutes and video transcriptions and how all these agencies discuss competitors or discuss not our competitors, but other vendors that are out there from the supplier side, how they discuss suppliers. Maybe they're trying to confirm certain information or see, did they have issues? So there's so much we can do with it. We're really just kind of scratching the surface right now and exploring that.
Very good. A great recap, Stephen. And so our longtime viewers and listeners, we're in season 10, for goodness sake, so over a decade of doing the show. But every once in a while, we have what I termed, and I give myself way too much credit for this clever term, but the crystal ball segment of the episode. And so, Stephen, I'm going to kind of put you on the spot here. Again, you have a lot of experience in, I almost said industry, but I better make it plural, these industries. You have a lot of experience. So as you look into your crystal ball, what do you foresee the future of government contracting, how it's going to evolve, especially when there's emerging technologies, there's regulations, there's expectations. I'm going to go ahead and throw out the word also, there's calls for transparency that are out there. So you bake all that together. What do you think is going to happen down the road?
That's It's a big question to think about there. I know we used to do videos in the past about we could just focus on a whole segment just on this
Yeah.
without maybe going into the metaphysical side of things, I guess. But the future of government contracting is I mean, guess the elephant in the room is AI, artificial intelligence. It's being talked about more and more. Agencies I talk to, surprisingly, actually, in some ways, are not really wanting to be far behind on this. I think they see the benefits of it. They hear about it out there. They're very curious about it. There also are a lot of compliance constraints and policies being written, and a lot of that they're trying to figure out too. But there's a lot more interest in adoption of AI than I think many people would suspect from government. And I see that really changing the whole field in a lot of ways, not necessarily replacing people, but really just expediting processes, personnel, a lot of the tedious work that is sometimes the hardest, the least enjoyable. That's what AI really solves in a lot of ways. And while still, and there's a number of staffing shortages that still exist in government, where there was a lot of people who left the public sector, moved to the private sector. So I guess I can answer that in a lot of ways, Bill, but there's a lot with AI that I think we'll probably be talking about a lot more in the future.
Yeah, I agree 100% with that. So, Stephen, we're up against it. However, before we let you go and try to do this with all of our guests here on the Big Bid Theory, so as you look ahead at your calendar, do you have any events, any speaking engagements coming up? I know over the last, what year, 24 months or so, you've been out and about, messages about transparency, technology, process improvement, those kinds of things. But I know you are going to be at NIGP Forum in August, and then ICMA is going to be hosting their event over in Pittsburgh in September. Can you tell us kind of a sneak peek, a tease about those two speaking engagements?
Yeah, and I guess we did NIGP Forum last year, and that's where we unveiled the RFP Critic. This year, we're going to focus on more of our data innovations at NIGP Forum in Charlotte. I think it's where it is. We're going to talk a lot more about how historical information can inform us of the future. So a lot of that's going to tie to AI. A lot of the stuff I just talked about with the RFP Archive, but term contracts, that piggybacking database, spending data, word history, meeting intel. There's a lot more that we can share that we've worked on collectively at Beacon and BidPrime, and how we harness AI to help agencies kind of make sense of this. I'll use the term again, vortex of data, because too much data sometimes it's too much knowledge. It can really slow people down without AI. So that's going to be a big talk there. And we'll be showcasing a lot at NHP Forum, and then at ICMA in Pittsburgh, I believe. Forget my travel schedule now, but I'll be on stage and sharing it with Clayton Fike, and he's the CEO of Untopical. And we're going to talk kind of about similar subjects with AI, a lot more deep dive into that and how it can transform and improve agency operations, not just really on the procurement side, but with administrators, city managers, engineers, just all teams. So I'm really excited to kind of share the stage with him and have him talk about a lot of the work they've done too.
All right, Stephen. Well, hey, do appreciate it. And another reminder, again, don't know, of course, when people are watching, listening to this conversation, but Stephen will also be headed over to Orlando, where our friend Denise Finn, who's president of FAPO, they will be hosting their annual event there at Coronado Springs. It's a Disney property, so maybe we'll run into Mickey Mouse. But one thing I do know is we're going to run into a bunch of Florida professionals who are making a difference in their community. So, Stephen, I'm sure you and I will cross paths over there. Safe travels. And again, on behalf of everyone here at the Big Bid Theory, our team, our audience, we appreciate you carving out some time for us.
Thank you, Bill, and congrats on 10 years. It's been a long time, whole decade. So it's quite a feat.
Thank you very much.